Chetan, and with me is Chris again. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
This is never getting old, is
Never.
it?
And I'm never stopping.
So, Chris, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about advertising. I think the main
Why our
focus will be
comics? Why our
in comics.
comics?
Yes,
Oh, sorry,
yes.
I thought you wanted to advertise my comic and stuff.
I'm advertising Batman, so
Okay. Not
but
that type of one.
advertising in comics. But I think we might also talk a little bit about comic advertising in other places too,
Okay.
because I
So
think
let me
there's a bit of
guess.
a connection.
So I'm gonna say sea monkeys.
Yes, I mean there's the classics. There's the what is it? The Get Fit, the sand in the kicking sand in the guy.
Charles
There's
Atlas, yeah.
yeah. There's the X-ray specs.
Yes, yes.
I own a pair.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, wow.
So do you know how they work?
Okay, let's
So
let's ex okay, let's get into that one. It was the X-ray, the man with the X-ray, or was it X-ray glasses?
yeah, so it was a cartoony guy. He was looking at his hand and it was all
That's
bones.
it.
And
Yes.
then I think there might have been some more controversial ones where there was a picture of a guy looking at a girl in a bathing suit and you could kind of see him, something like that. But the X-ray specs, so this I was told how they worked. I actually bought a pair. I went to this like vintage store and they had them for like 25 cents. So it was like super cheap.
25
So
cents.
basically,
Wow.
yeah, they literally had like a case of them. You could just buy them for a quarter, and so I bought a pair. And it's like a cardboard. They almost look like those old 3D glasses, except it's mostly cardboard at the front, except for a small circle. And inside the circle, so from what I understand, basically sandwiched between two pieces of, I think it was red. Or there's like a red film, and sandwiched between two pieces of red film is a chicken feather, from what I understand.
What?
And it's so yeah, this is the science. I saw a thing about this once. And so what it does is it splits your vision. So your eyes can't focus properly. And so when you're looking at your hand, you're actually seeing the doubles of your hand slightly offset a little bit. And so what happens is where the double vision overlaps, it's a little darker. And so it looks like you're looking at something that's inside your hand, but it's actually just a double vision
Wow.
split.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yep. Yep. And if you look at it closely, you can kind of see, like, if you look at the little circle in the X-ray spec, you can kind of see that it looks like there's like a bunch of little sort of lines. And so it does look like a feather.
Wow. So in a way, technically it's fooling you, but it is a gimmick, but it kind of makes it cool also. Because I was just
Yeah, it's,
thinking, I was just thinking it's like 3D glasses where you just see, blurred image, two images and that's it. Something
no.
stupid like that. Where this is more interesting. I mean, as a kid, you'd be impressed by that.
Yeah, like if you hold, basically you have to hold your hand up to a light and then you sort of get that blur perfect. That's what sort of blurs the image properly. And then so you sort of get this like what looks like a thin line going through your hand, through your fingers, which look kind
See,
of
uh,
like bones.
see, a 10-year-old me would have said, "Wow, that's impressive." If I ordered that, you know.
Yeah. Except for the part where you would then go outside and be like, "Oh, let's look at the ladies," and then you'd be like,
So I'm wondering now that brings up the question where, 10-year-old me would say, "Hey, I want to buy that to look at the ladies,"
"Yeah." The other thing that I mean those are obviously like there's also like the giant submarine, which is apparently you get a piece of cardboard like a box
I heard
that
about that. Yes, yes.
yeah. So
I
I think
heard it
there's
was
those
really
scams.
cheaply made and all that stuff. I think the price was like $1 or something at that time. So compared to nowadays, I don't know how much I would convert to, but you know, it was cheaply made. But I mean, again, if you're a kid, you don't care about that.
To be honest though, I kind of look at it and go, I would just want to, I guess being the creative kid that I was, I would just want a refrigerator box would be fine for me, and then I just paint it myself.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. No, but
So
as a kid looking at those ads and stuff, you know, I don't. Only thing I've ordered from those ads were some comics, and I remember that ordering comics a while back, but none of the gimmick stuff. No.
so the thing I ordered from comics that I bought was GI Joe I didn't buy the first series, but the first series of action figures from G.I. Joe, from what I remember, was actually advertised in the comic first.
I do
And you could,
remember the ads for them. Yes.
so you could only order the toys originally from the comic, and then later on they were available. So it was like 10 figures that you could buy from the comics. And similar to the Star Wars mail-in thing, where you could buy the mail-in and then eventually get your
Yeah.
action figures. So similar thing than that. And there was I didn't order the first set, but there was a few others. Like there was a Sergeant Slaughter action figure, and there was a Refrigerator Perry action figure that I ordered from like
Yes,
comic
you
books.
had to special order those. Yes, I remember that.
So
Yeah.
I got both of those from comic books.
Yeah.
So I ordered those. So I have ordered a few things, but by that point, the action figures had already been well established. So I knew I wasn't getting like a piece of crap. I knew I was getting a regular G.I. Joe action figure rather than, with the X-ray specs or with the submarine where you might consider it a ripoff. So I've ordered established things like that. And I bought the X-ray specs, but that's only because I found a nostalgia store that actually ordered them for me
Actually
so I could
had
see
it.
what they were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was that. So, but I mean, there are other things that we bought because of advertising, and I would say that
Well,
snacks. I mean, you fit into my wheelhouse, and nobody can forget the Spider-Man uh, ads for the cakes, for the pies, the Hostess pies and stuff.
Hostess pies. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I've talked to a few people about this because with Candy Critic and everything, because I have an interest in comic books and junk food, which we'll have a link for Candy Critic in case you've never don't know about it. My
Advertising.
other Yeah, there you go. Plugging my other site. Um, but one of the things that I've talked to a few people that's kind of fascinating about the Hostess ads is how they sneak up on you. So you'd be reading a Spider-Man comic, and
Yes.
all of a sudden the story
Yes.
takes a weird change, and you're like, "What's going on?" And all of a
Yes.
sudden
Because
he's
they wouldn't put they'll put the panel right there, so you're thinking it's part of that story.
yeah, and it would get really weird, and the art might change a
Yes.
little all of a sudden.
Yes.
So I'm not
Then
sure
you
who did the
realize,
art
wait
for
a minute.
those.
Yeah, I don't. I have to look back at those and see. Actually, you know what? We'll do our research and get back on that.
Yeah, because I think it was an actual established. Like I think like even it might have been like early on, it might have even been like Ditko and stuff actually doing the ads as well.
A lot of times in the 70s and 80s, they had their regular artists do the ads for a lot of those things.
I think also the pay rate was probably pretty good. Like
Oh, probably because
even better than a comic page. You're probably getting a better pay rate because it's an advertisement.
yeah, because it's an advertisement and you're doing it for a big brand like Hostess or Twinkies or whatever it is.
Exactly. So so that made it obviously it's better because the art was better, but it made it harder to distinguish from the real comic book because it wasn't like it was some really bad art where you're like, oh, this is obviously an ad. It's like the style is exactly the same. And you sort of go through and then you flip the page over, and all of a sudden the reason why he could beat Doc Ock is because he had an apple pie.
And let me
So
ask you
yeah,
this. When you were a kid, did you look at those ads and go, "Hey, mom, I want Hostess Twinkies or cupcakes or whatever."
I wouldn't probably ask for them, but if I saw them in the store, I might go, "Oh, I recognize that," and might, try and buy them.
Yeah, I've done that, but I don't think we ever any bought. My parents, I don't think ever bought any, junk food like that.
See, I mean, obviously, and if you look into the origins of my Candy Critic site, I had a father who had a sweet tooth, and so the idea of going to like the store and trying an interesting sweet treat was not out of the question.
Yes.
And so yeah, we would often, and so I would say if I was in a store with him and I saw Twinkies, I'd be like, oh, whether I directly make the connection or whether I just sort of subconsciously went, oh, those are familiar, I should try those.
Wow.
So I think it works. I think it was probably they wouldn't do it if it wasn't effective.
True. True.
Yeah. I think the last campaign that I can really remember, or the last two ads that I can remember, again, both of us have discussed in the past that we haven't really bought a comic book in a while. But the ads that I remember are corn nuts and milk.
Corn nuts,
There was
I don't remember.
there was these really sort of gnarly looking ads that were like really extreme, mostly in the 90s. They were in a lot of the comic books.
The milk one, I remember, was it the next quick ones with the bunny
Well,
rabbit?
I remember the one that got milk. And
Yes,
so it would
yes,
often be like a
yes.
famous person with a
That's
milk
it. Yeah,
mustache,
yes. Those
you know, like
were
Tony Hawk or something.
yeah, randomly placed. Yes, I do remember that. Yes, but the corn nuts I don't remember.
And that was mostly in the 90s and maybe even into the aughts, into the 2000s. So maybe that
Okay.
was, but then I remember the Nestle Quick. Yeah, the Nestle Quick was definitely a common.
Yeah, in lots of places.
Yeah. And I remember stuff even like Hot Wheels and Barbie and a few toys would
A lot of toy. Yes, yes.
yeah, so a lot of cross promote. So but yeah, I definitely think that's so I mean, is there advertising in comics now?
I, you know what? I haven't bought a new comic in a while. So again, go back to our previous episode about why we don't buy comics. So I
Yeah.
don't know. Most likely
Like,
there is.
I also remember I think it was Neil Gaiman used to complain a lot in the comic books that advertising would affect the flip. So he would be writing a story and he would have like a you know like a tension moment and the idea is you flip it into a big reveal but then you'd flip it and there'd be an ad for you know
That's
whatever.
I do have to agree on that because even growing up in reading comics in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know, there's a lot of bad advertising placements.
Yeah,
I know they have to make their money on this, but it was a lot of bad advertising placement. Like you said, you have a storyline going on and something big's about to happen. Next, there's an ad for, got milk.
yeah, and particularly some of the ads like the Nesquik ads I can remember would always be like bright yellow.
Yes.
And so if
Yeah.
you're reading like a
Law.
dark
Yeah.
comic book like Sandman
Yeah.
and then you flip over and all of a sudden it's like it sort of
It's like,
takes you out of
what
the
the
movie.
hell is this?
Yeah. It says a lot about, you know, like I mean we could probably do a separate episode about how people read comic books. And but advertising really sort of because you know you sort of actually get into it a little bit and
Oh,
that gets
yes.
into like
Yes.
panel placing and when to do the flip like when I'm writing a comic book and I'm sure you do the same you're thinking about oh okay the reveal for this is going to be in the next flip.
That's it. You have to think of that when, and yes, and that is, a lot of it has a lot of bad advertising placement.
Yeah, and I mean I knew like I said I know Neil Gaiman complained about it a lot
Wow.
and I think there was even a reprint of and I could be wrong about this it was either a misprint or a bad ad placement for the third issue of the Death comic book to the point when he complained hard enough that they actually re-released it
Oh,
with a change.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, did not know that. Okay. Wow.
So so yeah. So I think he was high enough by the time he was writing like the Death, the High Cost of Living series. I mean, he was the golden boy for
Oh,
DC, and
yeah.
he was selling.
He had his say, and they would listen to him. So, no.
So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah. So I think it's like it gets that serious. I mean, creatively, I can understand that. Like you'd want to know where
Yeah,
your ads are going to be.
definitely.
So I have a question for you. Have
Go for
you
it.
ever put an ad in TikTok Tom?
Yes, I did in the mini comics.
Okay.
And in the full size one actually. In the mini comics, I did have a few ads. One was from a comic store, and the other one was from a used clothing CD shop, and one was from a place that did what do you call leatherware and all that stuff.
That's appropriate for TikTok Tom.
Well, I'll explain how all of that happened. The leather one, I was looking for a belt, just a regular belt. So I went up to one of my old coworkers, recommended a place up on Yonge Street in Toronto. She goes, yeah, they sell a lot of belts and boots and all that stuff and things like that. So went in there. The girl helped me out and I go, look, the belt is a little too long and all this. And she goes, yeah, we could drill holes in it, whatever and stuff. So I ended up talking to her. Then somehow we started talking. I started talking to her and a couple of the other employees. And then something, I don't know how it came up that, we start talking about art. So then I go, yeah, I do this comic and stuff like that. And I showed her the swimsuit issue we did. And she goes, hey, that's one of our products there. I go, really? And and she recognized it. She goes, yeah, I know who the guy is on the cover. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah, and this long story short and all this. Then she goes, we have a store, the on the front side of the store on that street was the shoe shop and belts and all that stuff. Behind on the side entrance at the back of the other street was a lever craft store, which sold bondage and all that type of stuff. And she goes, yeah, our owners own both stores and stuff, and that's our product. And I just randomly said, hey, do you think you would want to advertise in our book? So she called him up, and he came up and he goes, yeah, sure. How much do you charge? I go, and they advertised for us like about six, seven issues.
Wow.
Yeah. And just out of randomness, just showing that issue, and she goes, hey, that's one of our products,
That's awesome.
And and the CD shop, same thing. CD shop and the clothing store went in there and talked to the owners and say, "Hey, you want to advertise in there?" And stupid me, you know what? My logic and what we just talked about just 5 minutes ago, I didn't even think about it going advertising placement. You know,
Yeah.
in those ads, I did put them in random pages in the books. Didn't even think about I should put it in the back of the book or somewhere where it's not going to affect the story or art or anything like that.
Yeah, well, TikTok Tom though often is an anthology, so there's sort of a bunch of small, shorter stories for a lot of the issues. So you can
Yeah.
squeeze it in between any one of those, no problem. Because if there's a break in sort of mood and story, it's okay.
And it was funny. It was like, at first, I had a one comic creator a few years back asking me, going, how did you get those advertising? And I go, you're just talking to people and just say, hey, do you want to advertise? And it was,
Yeah,
it was just, I don't know how it came up the first one. I just randomly asked, and the first one said yes.
interesting. Did you actually like make okay money off of it, or was it like, were you like,
It,
well, $10 or something like
well, I
that?
do remember in those days, I charged $25 for the full page. I remember
Okay.
that. And for doing a photocopy comic and stuff, it helped a little bit with the printing. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I was just happy someone wanted to advertise. I mean, stupid me, I should have said $100, or $200, something like that. But then, you don't want to be greedy and scare off people also.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's like a reasonable amount, $25 for
For a
you know,
25-year-old me or a 26-year-old me doing that at that time or younger, can't remember what age I was. My memory's going. So, um, for me, anyone even give me $5 for an advertising, I would have said sure.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. We took a little break a minute ago when you said you were going to get some books out to maybe look through and see if you
Yes.
had any
So
ads.
I pulled out some comics that I had lying around here, some old comics.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you the most famous ad that every person remembers. And
Okay.
I posted this when this person died, the artist, and everyone goes, that was on a lot of my comics. And do you want to take a guess?
So it's probably not sea monkeys.
No, it's a famous artist that did this ad, and you probably wouldn't even think about this until you saw it and gone, "Oh yeah, I remember this."
I don't know. I don't know.
Jack Davis.
Ah, yeah, the Spalding stuff.
Yep, and this was on almost most of my comics I bought when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Wow. That's like again, I really feel like advertising paid well because not only do you have like high quality artists, but you have high quality artists actually doing good
but
drawings.
here's my thing. When I was a kid, I I looked at the ad, then I looked at the name, Jack Davis. Hey, that's the guy who did Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
And it blew me away going, oh wow, it's like, okay, when you're 10 years old or whatever, you don't know about advertising, you don't know, who does what or whatever. But seeing the name and going, hey, that's Jack Davis.
I'm surprised he was allowed to sign his work.
Yeah, in advertising especially.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's pretty rare in advertising to like have an artist sign their work.
Yeah. But that's
Interesting.
one of the ads I did a post years back on social media. And when Jack Davis died, I posted this, and I had a lot of friends saying, I remember this ad. I remember
Yeah.
this ad. And it brought back memories for a lot of people going, oh, yeah, all my comics had this ad in it.
Yeah. Again, it makes sense in comic books to have somebody who can draw comics to do the ads so that way they blend in better. Because I will say the
Yes.
one thing about the 90s is they started using a lot of photographs and a lot of like, you know, other like it would be artists that look nothing like the comic books. And
It was,
they would pop out, but not necessarily in a good way.
that's it. Yes. Yes. And I
Yeah.
think the 70s and 80s had a lot of good ads. And we're gonna post an image of this one and mentioning photographs, and it's an ad you probably remember, and it was an odd ad to have, but I mean it was the 70s at that time for Daisy BB gun.
Yeah. Something you wouldn't have today for sure.
No, no. And those ads ran a lot in those books. I remember that. Yeah. And I remember it was like, full page ads with the BB guns.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
okay, so here's some more. And this is one you'll probably remember also, this ad.
Yeah. Like all of the, there's several versions of that, but there's
Versions of it,
definitely,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like where you can like, and I've heard that a lot of it is like this weird pyramid thing where you'd be like going door to door trying to sell things that if you sold a certain number, you'd get like a prize. And it was
And here's one that I remember seeing a lot.
that one affected me a lot for sure. Because
Yeah, because
had it, I actually had the Batmobile toy. I still have it, I think, somewhere.
do you?
Yeah, the Superpowers
Okay,
Batmobile.
and let's see. And I mean, this one has fishing ads, but I mean, this is kind of like the Army Man type of thing, where you get
Yeah.
like, bunch of stuff for $12,
And then you look at it and the fishing rod is this long.
probably. I wonder if anyone's ever ordered any of those Army Men.
I have. Well, I had plastic Army Men. Like I had like the basic ones that you buy in toy stores that were okay, but I've actually seen the ones you get off comic books. So
Yeah.
the ones that you get in like toy stores, you just get like a bag of them at like Toys R Us for like a few dollars, and they'd be like this tall. But the ones you ordered off comic books were the same dimensions, except they were flat.
Oh, was it you and I had talked about that right before?
Yeah, I think so. And so it's basically it was exactly the same sort of dimensions of it, except they used like
Yes.
half the plastic.
And here's one of the this is not the original one, but another one.
Yeah,
I think the more famous one was the Charles Atlas one. This is some other guy doing it, but
yeah,
the muscle, don't be a wimp, ads and stuff like that. All of us, and this is one thing I miss about comics nowadays. I mean, okay, advertising had, certain things in it, but some of the advertising were memorable.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I agree. I mean, if it's well placed, I think probably around the 90s is when it started to sort of shift. And I think it's because they started to use more photography and it was less, so you were off four color press. So you could go a little bit more, extreme and more detailed. Like you started seeing like painterly advertising instead of,
Oh yes, that's it.
you know, so, so I don't know if you have more to show, but the
No,
other
that's it
ad
for now, and we'll post some of the images up of what we talked about.
for sure, and maybe our social media will post a few so that people
Yes,
can actually flip through them. But the other ad that's interesting is ads for other comic books.
that I find. I have seen that. I have seen ads for Marvel books and DC books,
I
and
I,
vice
re
versa.
I remember Image when Image started too. They would often advertise the other Image books because when they were brand new, you'd be reading an issue of Spawn and there'd be an ad for Shadowhawk or some of the other ones because they were trying to sort of like make people aware of their titles that are being
Aware of
like.
it, yes.
So but that
And
was
I
always
do,
interesting.
and I remember like I think in one of the Marvel ones here, I think there's an ad for some of the Marvel books I just saw. Or do you remember the Marvel house ads like for like this?
Yeah,
Yeah. And I remember a lot of Marvel used to use a lot of it. I remember a lot of Jack Kirby ones, subscribe to our books, a yearly subscription, and things like that. I
yeah.
remember like they used to use a lot of Jack Kirby art in that.
And they used to give you like a little form you could fill out.
Yes, that's it.
And
Yes.
there'd be like a little checkbox which comics you want to
And
subscribe to.
I have bought comics where, oh right here. I have bought comics where this has been cut out. So people
Yeah.
do actually mail it in.
Yeah. I never subscribed. I mean, I think my dream would be to subscribe to a comic book because it'd be cool to just get it in the mail. That would be kind of fun. Maybe
I
you should
never
start
get.
a TikTok Tom subscription service.
Oh, that's not bad. No, I've never mailed out to any of those and never subscribed to that. I wonder, I mean, I remember, no, but no, reason I do remember that is a lot of times in the ad saying not valid in Canada.
Yeah, I guess that's probably a
Yeah,
big issue.
a lot of times they only did it within the US.
Yeah. Also, like comic book shops, at least I assume they still do it, but they used to. You had your pull bin. So you
Yeah,
go to
but
a comic
again,
book shop and they just take your comics out for you anyway.
yeah, but you know what? Getting something, that whole nostalgia thing about, getting something in a package in the mail, opening it up, you know, that made it more interesting. But I have come across, like I said, even going through pages in comics, I bought new, comics, old comics, and going, oh, someone cut up the coupon
Yeah.
or mailed it away,
Yeah. Part of the problem too with mail-aways, and I think the reason why it's a little sour now is in the 90s, there was this whole thing about like you would buy like issue one of Spawn, and then there'd be a coupon inside for the Ash Can issue one of Spawn or special edition. Like there was a lot of that going on where there was like coupons inside of books, and the only way to get this comic would be to like, and generally it would be a poly bag sealed, so you'd have to like
Yes,
rip open your poly bag, then send this thing away and it would devalue your comic. So people would buy two, but then they'd
two
have one
copies.
with the coupon and one where they got the send away. So that way they could get the send away thing and get that as
I
well.
mean, for advertising wise, that's perfect. It works, you know.
Yeah,
But as a consumer, it's like I don't want to buy two books.
but they did.
Yeah.
So,
So overall, to conclude this episode, what would be your overall all time memorable famous ad?
I mean, it's funny when you say it, the Sea Monkeys ads were the ones that popped in my head. Like that, those were like, and the deception of the Sea Monkeys ads was insane.
I agree. I agree. Sea monkeys, even I think anyone who's read one comic book in their lifetime, growing up in the 70s, 80s, or not 90s, mostly 70s and 80s, will remember sea monkeys.
And the thing too is like the Sea Monkeys ads, you find them in like the Archies and also in Superman. Like they were every comic book.
Oh yeah, everywhere. Yes.
Whereas you wouldn't find like Charles Atlas ads in an Archie comic book.
No, no.
So like that I'd say Sea Monkeys is probably the one that's like imprinted on my brain. And the one when you suggested this idea of doing ads, the first thing I thought of, well, we have to talk about Sea Monkeys. So
Yes,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Did you ever own Sea Monkeys?
No, no.
I did.
And they were
So
just, if I remember hearing the story, they're just small shrimps, right?
yep. Small brine shrimp. And they
Yeah.
died really easily. But they had when you order the sea monkeys, you get a little thing. If your sea monkeys die, I think for a certain amount of time you could get free ones sent to you, but then after a while you have to pay for them. So like you get a year's worth of sea monkeys, and then after that, if you want more, then and it comes with like a little container, like a little tank that had little magnifying glasses so you could look closely at them. And later on, they had accessories and everything, so it got
Okay,
quite detailed.
so the question on this one is, and this is not just for me, anyone else who's seen those ads, are they dried or wet, or how do they ship it to you?
It's dry. It's dry.
Aren't they dead?
Nope, nope. So you can actually freeze dry the eggs of a sea monkey, a fertilized egg, and it will survive for I think it's up to like 6 months. They can,
Really?
yeah, brine shrimp can live. You can also freeze them, like literally freeze them, and they last a long time too. It's often used. Basically, the reason they did that is the fish food. So often there's certain like fish you can get that want that like live food, and so
Yeah.
freeze dried shrimp was how you did it. So it's been around for a long time.
Oh,
And so sea
wow.
monkeys just took advantage of that.
Wow.
I think you could still get them. I think you can buy them online.
I'm sure if I look around, I'm sure I could find it somewhere.
I
Yeah.
bet your daughter would love a tank full of sea monkeys.
No, kids are jaded these days. It's
I don't
like,
know,
no, even with the X-ray glasses, my kids would say, those are fake, they don't work. You know,
but I imagine if you didn't show them the ad and just pulled some powder, put it in a tank, and suddenly animals came to life, your kids would be impressed.
You don't have kids, so you don't know.
Uh,
Yeah, you don't have kids. You don't have kids.
that's
My
true.
kid, my the new. I'm sounding like an old fart now. Kids these days don't know what's fun and what's good. You know, anyone who's watching this and have kids will understand this. You know,
Maybe.
you know,
Yeah.
you know.
That's why, that part of the reason why I don't want to have kids is
As
I
soon
want
as,
to
as soon
enjoy
as,
the joy of,
so as soon as I mention sea monkeys to my kids, first they'll say there's no monkeys in the sea. That's the first thing they'll say. You know, and then they'll question everything that I'm about. Everything that what we just talked about. They question every single bit.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Kids
Fair
these
enough.
days, they don't read comics. They don't have fun. That's a subject for another show.
Yeah. Damn kids.
Damn kids. Okay, that's a great way to end the episode, right?
Yep.
Okay, join us again and we'll talk more. Thank you. And if you have any comments, please leave them at the bottom, okay? Thank you.